All right, so I should have filmed it. I was this morning, this pretty cool car, 491. So I'm doing front struts, and I've seen a lot of stuff on the internet and different videos and stuff about how to remove this. And this job can either go really quick or you can take forever. So I think it pays, I don't know, 6 hours or something to do the whole front, you know, suspension in terms of the struts and the brakes and the wheel bearings and the ball joints and all this stuff. So I'm going to show you how we do this and some of the tricks to get them out, because you can either get this apart in 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe tops, or it could take all day. Depends on what tools you use in your process to get it done. So let's get it done. All right, so first order of business is brake lines. So what I'm using here is a line wrench, or a line wrench socket, snap-on, 14 mil. First thing you want to do is you want to come in from the back side and you want to hold the nut. Just wiggle that guy in there. And this is make or break it moment. And then you need a super high quality flare nut wrench. And this moment right here is when you decide how bad of a day you're gonna have. Got that. And then what you wanna do, and I've already done this on the other side, so I don't need to repeat, but as soon as you have that thing cracked, what you wanna do is put a brake pedal depressor on the brake pedal, and you wanna close the master cylinder all the way. And what that does is it closes the piston past the point of sucking out the master cylinder, out the reservoir, so you end up with no drippage, or at least a minimal amount. And then you don't have to bleed your master cylinder out or any of that stuff. That pretty much goes for any car. New, old, doesn't matter. I'm gonna pull our sensor. Whoa! Didn't like that. Pull our sensor out. And we're gonna leave all this stuff hanging, because that's gonna come out with the brake line. So leave all that stuff hanging, and I gotta move you guys. So basically what I use here, I just grab a drain pan, and then I put pig mat in the bottom of it so it doesn't splash on my little stainless steel cart. That's why we had to move. And then we'll thread this guy. Out of here. That way we get our brake rotor and caliper out of the way. Like I said, we work on flat rate, so you don't get to take all day to get this stuff done, but at the same time, see how minimal fluid I've got, if anything. There's actually hardly anything in there, so that's the key to it. So you got to use the right tools to get that job done. The next thing you need is a 10 mil. You need a 10 mil in there for your brake caliper bolts. And these are pretty tight. These are torqued to, I think it's over 100 foot-pounds. We'll look at the service data and see. Bend that guy out of there. We'll set our caliper off to the side. Now I already took, I guess we should talk about that. I've already taken this dust cap off. It's got a threaded bolt right here. So this is metric 8, and then inside here is a cap. You don't want to screw this guy in all the way. You just want to screw it in until it stops. Obviously that's in there, and these are tight. So what you can't do is you can't just wail on this thing. You got to torch it. If you do, this part here is just tacked on. So I grabbed the torch, heat the out of this thing while I'm spinning it around. You're replacing all this anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I heat this up, quite a bit, and then slide hammer on this thing, pops it right out. So the slide hammer I use is, this is what, a Armstrong 68 125. Throw it on a slide hammer, pops it right out. And pops it right out is being sarcastic. They don't pop right out. It's pretty challenging actually. So the next thing you want to do is find your hole, which goes all the way through there, and then bust off your Allen that holds the rotor on. Slide that back in the hole and spin this guy off. We'll address the bearings in a second, taking the races out. We'll do that, but for our teardown process, we'll just throw this off to the side in a second. Just grab yourself on the front so that stuff doesn't fall out. All right, so then we need a rag so we're not wearing this. And we need a 13. Bust off this guy. There she is. Sacrificing my vision for your vision. All right, so that takes care of that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this. Normally I stay at one height through this whole process, but for the video purposes, I think you guys are gonna wanna see what we got going on down here. Here we got a little cotter pin, and then we also have a little spring washer we gotta take off. What we need to do is figure out who's been in there and how they did their cotter pins. Thank God I got my glasses on. We should do a video on the proper ways to do cotter pins. Keyboards would be on fire. If you did that. So basically what I do is just fold them back, grab a pair of dikes, pull that out, grab a pair of pliers, see if we can pull that out, which we can't. So the next thing's a hook. Little cotter pin pliers hook. We'll pull this guy straight out. That takes care of that. And we need to bend our tabs back straight so that this guy falls out. And basically, we're just going to take this little spring clip off of here. Come on, little guy. Why are you being so difficult? All I want you to do is fall right out. This next piece that we gotta take off is this ball joint. So here, this is where it really matters what tool you're using. So this is Porsche. Grab this light so you can see. So this is 280B. It's the factory tool to take. I think Baum makes one, and a couple other people make one, but this is the factory one. It's never let me down. And then the key is an impact. And the key is a really heavy duty impact. There's a bunch of them on the market, but this is no idea. CT905 HV, it's whatever marketing wank, 1,000 foot-pounds or whatever, it doesn't matter. You need something with a whole lot of beans to take this guy off, because that's what's going to determine whether you have a bad day or not. So let's grab this guy off. Basically, I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna make sure that I get my tool all the way up inside there. Seated, lots of upward pressure. That's the difference maker. If you don't have one hell of an impact, that puppy ain't coming off. I'll tell you that right now. Ask me how I know. So, all right, so it's all in the tooling. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab an air hammer. We're gonna use, this one has a little radius in it. We're just gonna hammer on that. Pop that guy out there. Take our nut off. She's still not loose, and we'll change it out to a pin and shoot this puppy across the floor, just like that. Didn't even need to pull the trigger. Look at that. All right, so now you want to leave the tie rod on because you need something to hold the shock while you remove the ball joint. What I do is I use my, I just dropped my nut and my washer. So what I use is a bearing splitter. This is by Snap-on Tools. This is a CG900. So, and like I said, on this car, I'm replacing the whole strut, but this is one of those things that, you know, a lot of people could fight with. So I'll show you what I do. What's the point of having all the knowledge on how to do things the fastest and proper way? You don't share it. This ball joint's coming out, so you don't have to be gentle with it. So we don't need a ton of heat, but we do need enough. So we're just gonna get this guy in here. We're gonna basically just heat up the bottom of this foot. Shouldn't need a ton of heat, because we're about to get crazy with the slide hammer. All right, how do I look?
Did you ever think that maybe there's more to life than being really, really, really ridiculously good looking?
Next thing we're gonna do, grab trusty old slide hammer, tighten this guy up. Probably should have done that to start with. Oh, yeah, got that bad boy. So what I'm using here is I don't know what this is, 10-pound hammer, 15-pound hammer, whatever it is. This is Snap-on CJ97-3, and then this is the master puller set, but this is a CJ273-5, and it's pretty cool. It's got quick change jaws in it, and then you tighten this guy down right here, and it spreads the, forces those two together. Pop it on there, slide it down. Probably less inexpensive kits somewhere else, but it's what I use. Never let me down. The key to removing this joint is enough heat, which we have, as well as enough pulling power, slide hammer wise, which we also have. Don't have the tool out because I'd already done I didn't take it off the other side yet because I hadn't dropped the strut out. It's 17. Now this you gotta be careful with because we are reusing tie rod ends. Obviously we'll put a new nut on. Grab a tie rod popper. That's too big. I don't have the right one. I don't have the right one. All right, going old school. All right. All right, so that's that. So if you guys notice, this is all in real time. We're not cutting, we're not doing anything crazy. It's just all in real time. Whoops. So it's not a crazy job. It's just if you don't have the right tools, they can end up really, really bad for you. So invest in that, that's important. I'm blowing off this car just to make sure there's no dust, because I am going to apply a fender cover. And I don't want to have dust fender when I put a fender cover on it, which would be no bueno. 22, 22s. Hey, right on my foot. Then we're gonna stick our hardware in our tray. This car's in for a little bit more work than what you see, so that's why the front trunk's a little torn apart. All right, so let's turn this around. I'm gonna grab another tool and I'll be right back. All right, so now what we need to grab is, I got my AGA engine tool, or engine table. It's got a crazy surface on it. We're gonna need that because we're gonna get some races removed, and then just to protect it, I'm very anal about everything. So just to protect it, I got some pig mats down. Pig mat is cheap, tables are expensive. Trays, Amazon, just little baking trays. These are cheap, $1.50 a piece or whatever they are. So cheap, expensive. So what we're gonna do is we'll slide this guy onto our tray and get it, actually we're gonna need a bigger tray. That one doesn't fit in there. Should have thought through that one. Let's grab a bigger tray. I'll show you how to get all of this apart. I'm not gonna make a video on how to reassemble. If somebody needs to show how to pack wheel bearings and assemble wheel bearings, then you should probably take it somewhere and have it done. That's basic 101. Oh, and then we're gonna need a ton of rags. So let's get into this. How are we gonna get a good view? Let's see. If Sam was here, he would give me a good view, but you're not here, pal. Put these off to the side. We're gonna reuse the harden washer. We'll reuse this. We'll reuse the nut. Bearings go in the garbage. This thing's actually pretty dry. Look at that. Not a lot of grease in there, which is quite incredible. Usually you pull these things out and they're just packed with grease. And there is such a thing as too much grease, but all right, so I got a couple different pullers. We'll see which one works. This one is Snap-on SPS2LS. And then this one is also Snap-on. This is S90948. Between one of these guys, I think it's gonna be this one, we'll get it done. Ugh. She's in there. Ugh. Ugh. All right, Jesus. Set those guys off to the side. Put that in our trash tray. And then we need to grab as much of this grease out as we can. I just kind of push it through. Yeah, I know I'm getting grease on the rotor, but it doesn't matter. All this is gonna get cleaned. Interesting why there was not a lot of grease in that thing. So, we'll start on this side just because we have better access. So this is just bearing. Make sure you guys are still in the frame. This is a bearing race driver, right? So see the oval head on that? And what that does is it gets down on top of the race that we're about to pound out. grabs the edge of it. So what I do is I just kind of hold it against the other side here. You'll feel it start to go. And we'll pull this guy over, and we'll grab the other side. I can hear the comments right now. Hit it with your purse. What the guys at work would be saying. They could see me. Let me grab a, I think the problem is that I think that one's too long. Let me grab a shorter one. Yeah, turd. You gotta keep working around the outside edge so you get it to go straight. Jesus. Finally. All right. So we are completely torn down. So obviously, what next step for me is I need to go to the parts blaster, including talking and grabbing stuff, 31 minutes, so an hour aside, all apart. And then you're gonna have about an hour and a half to go all back together, so 3-4 hours. And there's not a lot of, you can turn this. I have seen guys struggle. Look, not everybody's gonna buy whatever. This is probably 3-4 grand in the proper tools to get this job done in the amount of time that we just did it. Not everybody's gonna spend that, and I'm not expecting them to spend it. But if you invest in your kit, you buy the right tools for the job, as you can afford it, your stress level at work will go down so much. So it's plain and simple. It's not who's got better stuff. It's just what I use. So drop a comment if you got something, a better way to take these apart. You got a better way of doing it, I'm all ears, because that's how you learn. You learn by people a lot smarter than you doing jobs, and none of this is experience. This is just, you know, I'm gonna need to take this apart. I've got this puller, I've got this screwdriver, I've got this hammer, I've got this, you know, it's knowing your tooling, the uses and functionality of your tooling that makes these jobs easier. So enjoy.